to cast this game. Thanks so much for joining me.
Exciting.
Thank you, Daniel. Often, yeah, really exciting here, Avo. I didn't quite get the chance. What was going to be your prediction overall here?
Spirit. No, I was just very quick about it. I was very certain.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't blame you here. This Razor pick is really darn good, though, isn't it? Because this TA has, of course, a little bit of a problem when it comes to actually being able to hit people in the early levels because of that very, very low attack range, lowest attack range in the entire game. And that is, of course, going to be presenting a major issue when it comes to the laning stage here for the Templar Assassin. Should be able to buy plenty of time here for them to, you know, contest these stacks and look to get really aggressive. You know how the TA is going to be playing, you know, kind of her style, and that's kind of how you can look to counter her here as the laning stage begins to break down.
Yeah, I do feel like we have a really good lineup to hunt her down. Between Hoodwink, Razor, DK. And I've spoken like a lot about the combination of Hoodwink DK. I think one of the strongest combos we have currently because of the synergy they have, both in playstyle and in literal skills, right? I'm looking at TSpirit's lineup, and I just think it's just incredibly solid. I feel like Winstrike has a couple of weaknesses you can exploit. There are a lot of comfort picks, which gives me a bit of faith in them, but I would say that TSpirit also has a couple of these... like, not comfort picks, but picks that suit the playstyle. So, like, I don't think Razor is too far off Toronto's playstyle, regardless. And then Yellow Submarine used to play it a fair amount as well. So it's not something I've never seen him on. So I am really, really siding with TSpirit this time. Especially because Rainbow is usually what Winstrike plays around, as you mentioned. And that is something that Toronto will completely counter this game.
No, that's a good point. He does... The Achilles heel is a little bit too dramatic. They can, of course, nice dodge there on the Poshka. He'll still be dead, unfortunately. Plenty of slows here. Gonna throw out that acorn. Tiny will drop for first blood. That's gonna go over as well, who's going to be able to snipe that bounty. So nice, you know, first blood here at the very least for Winstrike. They can be happy with that. They can also be happy about their top lane in general, though. I feel like this top lane is going to be a little bit of a problem. We have answers to the Ursa in the mid and late game for sure, especially when Toronto Tokyo hits this early game power spike. But the laning stage seems very easy for the bear here. Yep,
certainly. I feel like... What do you do as TSpirit? If I had the Hoodwink, I feel like you could at least slow him down a bit. But if you have the Phoenix, like, it's not going to stop the overpower at all, right, when you hit the DK. So maybe in the early levels, sure, with the Dragon Tail you can deal with him. But once you hit level 3, I feel like Duracho can start putting a lot of aggression here. The only thing is that you do need a bit of regen for this lane. Duracho will suffer a fair amount if you don't bring him like a bunch of tangles, a bunch of salves, or at least level Golden Brace. That's another option. Because the harassment's going to come whether you like it or not from Collapse and Miraslow.
I think we'll see a couple points in Cold Embrace. I wouldn't still like to see Pentagon here fall into this trap of maxing Cold Embrace. The blast that we've previously seen, not from him, but from a couple of other Winter Wyverns, because then you have a distinct lack of waves there. And we don't really have anyone on the side of Winstrike who just doesn't mind standing around and hitting waves. Axe wants to counter-initiate, TA wants to, you know, jump in a little bit later. Duracho kind of the same thing here. So we also could use the waves here. It's Winter Blast, but we also do need this heal real bad. So it's a tough position to be in here for the Wyvern when it comes to deciding what your skill build is going to be.
Yeah, I do find that Arctic Burn, Cold Embrace, which we've seen a couple of times, is the right build. Maybe you take the 2 points of Splinter Blast, you know, the 2-2-2 build, which we've seen a couple of times, or maybe just the single point in Cold Embrace. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Celery build that we've seen a couple of times, right, where he's like, I don't need to hit creeps, I'm just here to help my carry. I think that's fine. Bottom lane, though, I do see a pretty nice lane for the Luna. Not gonna lie, against the Axe, one of the few carries that can deal with it nicely due to the immense amount of magical damage. And I do like the Hoodwink pickup in case Winstrike ever wants to get aggressive. You have the option of the Bushwhack, though they are already trying to cut down trees to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, and Rebel's been kind of forced away nearly into the Roach Pit by Toronto Tokyo. Just with that static link, he's going to return to lane. It was at least the water rune picked up here by Rebel, as he will walk back over towards the mid lane and look to try and erase Toronto Tokyo and actually beat him to the second water rune. So it's no refill here for Toronto Tokyo, but he still has that one sip to work with.
Okay. I mean, the lane didn't go insanely badly for the TA, all things considered. You know, 4 last hits behind, you got a couple of denies. At least in the early levels, which is when you're best bet against the Razor. it's acceptable, I would say. But then once they push you into jungle, I think TA can always recover. Maybe we should have Mirana also rotating into the Ancients to make those Ancients stack relatively early. Worst case, Axe takes them, so that's fine too. Those ideas are I think what Winstrike should try to do. Always go immediately into your contingency plan. Don't try to win these lanes, and just try to make the best out of a bad early game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you mean. Plus, like you're saying, we've got that complexity strat, being able to cold embrace the Axe for a mega stack of Ancients. If for some reason TA doesn't need them or doesn't want them, is always going to be a nice recovery mechanism. Should Cheshire Cat need them, I would say so far, though, Cheshire Cat is holding his own in this lane. 14-3 is not bad whatsoever for the Axe, especially because you are against the Luna, who, again, much like a Timbersaw, is just going to loosen beam you and try and get you away from the creeps in these early levels.
Top lane, Duracho is actually suffering a fair amount. Pantomim coming in to help him, maybe a bit too late. He's been hit by those spirits, Duracho. They hit him with a Breathe Fire as well. They have to cold embrace him in the end. He was going to die otherwise. Nice bit of healing, though. Might just save his life. Pantomim on point, but instead he's going to have to sacrifice himself. No, they're actually trying to go for Duracho instead. Duracho thinking he could kill Miroslav, but got a bit too aggressive and sacrificed his life to a Pantomim that was... I mean, just sacrifice your Winter Wyvern. He did a great job saving you, and in the end, you just lost your carry there.
Yeah, I agree. So that Morbid Mask that he's got early on, Bushwhack down bottom on the Cheshire Cat is going to take him down to half HP. He might just even be dead, actually. Loosen Beam in another couple of seconds. Out from Yatoro, but he realizes he's being kited around. He's got that 5-stick charge ready to go in the wand and the Ring of Health, so he'll be able to regen up in no time flat.
Alright. Well, the lanes are looking good for TSpirit though, so they got what they wanted out of this early game. Nice little Bushwhack there, actually, with the Acorn Shot between two. Ezreal might be in trouble, use the Berserker Call for the extra armor, and yeah, Toro is like, I need to get to Battle Hunger off me, I need to farm some creeps. He didn't have much mana, so there's no point in chasing after them. Seems appropriate. Proper carry strats, understanding when you're just wasting time and you're missing valuable CS for a kill that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Mitch actually missed the Ancient stack timing here, unfortunately, so we're going to need to get that one rolling pretty soon. He tried to stack the Ancients on the way back home to refill, to collect the urn as well as refill the HP and mana, so Rebel's not going to be able to find a lot of farm. In fact, we just saw him actually deward his own small camp. Another strategy we see a lot in Eastern Europe is blocking these small camps right next to both mid laners, and this really actually ends up hurting the TA quite a bit. So TeamSpirit very eager to remove all the early farm that TA is normally able to find just by a couple of blocks and by keeping the Mirana in the lane. Duracho top is going to be okay. He's taking a fair amount of damage. Dragontail is actually ready in 8 more seconds, so they will dive him. Into the trees he will go. Collapse putting himself in with the Quelling Blade. Dodging the Breathe Fire is Duracho, but it's going to be the auto attack from the Phoenix to collect the kill. With the wagon here, this could be trouble for Winstrike. I'm surprised by the confidence they have the Ursa in this lane. Oftentimes the matchups that he wins, especially against heroes like Dragon Knight or Phoenix, still require, like I said, a bunch of regen. And if your support leaves, there is a kill potential there. It's not like DK is completely at the mercy of the Dragon Knight. I say that when we say the trash lane, oftentimes we only consider the Ursa versus DK matchup and we ignore the supports here. And I mean, the Phoenix deals damage. You have no dispel. You need the cold embrace there for sure. So they're leaving with a bit of overconfidence the Ursa alone, which is netting them a lot of kills and actually a win in the top lane for TeamSpirit. Quite surprising. I was not expecting that. You definitely don't expect this when you draft an Ursa versus a DK. Yeah, I agree, and I think this is a... Oh my goodness, Collapse is already up to level 6. There goes the Ola Dragon form. Duracho, he'll be fine as long as he doesn't take any more damage here than is necessary. But this is not like a lane combo that's meant to be playing from behind either. Duracho, he can recover naturally. He's got this decent matchup versus the DK, but we can already see he's eager to go into the jungle. This lane is no longer any fun for him. TA, in the meantime, is going to be able to get a couple of stacks going at the very least. We'll be back in game here in just a spliffy. Not missing too much here. Still a nice period of farming, everyone.
Yep.
More or less content to hit creeps. They did at least deward the Observer. TeamSpirit had an Observer in the jungle that did scout Duracho head into the jungle. Not that that's much of a surprise, as Mira's actually already going to be the one contesting him. Mira, though, he's going to be fine. It's going to a radio broadcast momentarily. So now we're back live here with our feed.
Yeah, we want people to realize that, you know, the values of modern technology. What if you couldn't see the game? That could still happen. Remember, guys,
See, the problem
you're very
is-
lucky. Kids these
problem is
days
Avo.
are so entitled. They want audio, they want video.
are.
Oh my goodness.
My goodness. The thing is I've got a face for radio, right? So it's not really meant to do both on me at the same time. But we do what we must here, as Winstrike are still holding on to this Tier 1 top tower, so they've at least managed to get through the 5-minute wagon and the first Elder Dragon form. Collapse has got another one here ready to go in just about 20 seconds. He's very eager to already looking to close the gap here, to close the map for where Winstrike are going to be farming. Because this isn't something we touched upon yet, but an Ursa Warrior and a TA, both with rougher starts out from the lane, are going to have to both end up farming the jungle for some time. Are Collapse and, is Cheshire Cat and this Marana Wyvern, will they be ready to carry the gauntlet for the first couple of minutes to buy their carry some time?
Well, as we see this, Pantomim is starting to TP away. He's going to succeed. But, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. Zax also wasn't having the easiest lane. Now he's trying to play a bit more aggressively against Yatoro, but Yatoro keeping his distance well. In fact, Yatoro sees the opportunity against Yamich, so they have a pushback available. Doesn't really matter because they were too far away from the trees. Miposhka now using it, but it's going to be hard to kill the Axe. Azure Cat, though, I mean, Axes usually are actually kind of a snowball heroes where they win the lane, they get their Vanguard Blink, and then they start going places. You're not going to achieve that if your net worth is one of the lowest this game. In fact, you're the lowest core here. So I think it's kind of a tall order for Cheshire Cat to do this as well. And with TSpirit having a Razor, it's going to be tough to deal with this. Cheshire Cat, again, in trouble. This time he has infused raindrops. The bushwhack hits. But Cheshire Cat, can he get away? He's spinning a fair amount.
Stick charges.
Yeah, he's fine.
Be okay.
He's fine.
He'll make it out. No, I mean, that's actually a really good point, because Razor is definitely one of these carries that if you can, you know, you get to pick up when you're winning all 3 lanes. He's just going to give absolutely no recovery mechanism to your enemy team anymore, especially when 2 of them are right-clicking, very heavy right-clicking based. Rebel more so than, of course, the Ursa Warrior is. And speaking of Rebel, he is going first item here into the Dragonland, so it's not going to be the Blink, not the Deso. It's already finished, so it's some stats that will accelerate the farm. Yep. And we'll see here how he's going to be able to look to recover a bit. He's just behind the Razor in terms of net worth, so still I would say a respectable laning stage out from him, all things considering. Let's Collapse top lane. Is going to be able to just again use that stun and walk away, not really having too many difficulties here early on versus the Wyvern and Ursa combo.
It does seem like for the most part the Dragonlance is what gave the TA a bit of the breath of fresh air as the major came along, right? Because you have a bit more variability, a bit more flexibility. So I do find that not only is this build a good idea in general, but this build is a good idea particularly for this game. Might allow you to be somewhat of a space creator as you also farm between, but before Duracho manages to get the Diffusal Blade, which I think is the best, the first point of inflection. Like I said, you really cannot trust the Axe here. Not because he's playing badly, it's just Cheshire Cat had a tough lane, so it's going to take a while for him to recover. Now the question is, what will TSpirit do while having the most farmed core on the map, Razor, and also a really strong core for fighting early? Toronto Tokyo, if he wants to start playing aggressively once he gets his first big item, it's going to make it very difficult for Winstrike to create that space at any point, especially because he's a counter to your 2 biggest space creators, which is the Ursa and the Axe.
Yeah, and we've got Collapse here, who's just going to be a bit too tanky for them all. He's about to finish up his Blink Dagger. Speaking of that big item for Toronto Tokyo, the Yules is finished up. As top lane, they are going to get a bit aggressive underneath this Tier 2 tower. Winner's Curse to try and reset the fight as Mira at least able to get off the Icarus dive away from Duraccio. The Axe call here now to hold down the DK. Good bushwhack, though, is going to buy him a bit more space, but Duraccio starting to stack up these Fury Swipes up to 6. As out comes a Supernova. That's going to be immediately bursted through, though. It is at least space for the DK to TP away, and that space will be probably very grateful. The DK is going to be very grateful for that space, but that is one egg scrambled.
I'm imagining that was because the Moonlight Shadow kind of surprised them, and he didn't see them in time. I mean, they did have a sentry around. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a space egg. Who knows? Odd use of the first Supernova, but okay. TSpirit will only lose their support. Like you said, they still have some nice farm on Luna and the DK, but still haven't tried to go for any ganks. I think Toronto Tokyo just finished up his Yule Scepter recently. There we go. So he should be looking for some fights soon, especially with a Hoodwink and DK. I feel like you're more than ready to go. Maybe you wait out that Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We've got it. We've got the Blink already for Collapse. I think it's go time. In fact, I was about to ask you, I don't know what we're waiting for, to be honest, on TSpirit. I feel like this is the exact kind of draft where you want to put the pedal to the metal and go, yeah, we've got this great early game lead. Let's go ahead and press it. You know, we've got the great hit counters. They lack stuns. You know, the slows are a bit annoying, but they only got a couple of those. Like, they're giving a lot of respect to Winstrike right now. I suppose at the end of the day, they are happy to continue farming on this Luna. And that's something Yatoro is now very much doing, very quickly closing the gap here towards the Templar Assassin, having almost already eclipsed, no pun intended, Dyrachyo, as he's leaving him in the dust.
Okay. SeekNStrike trying to be aggressive in the bottom lane, taken away, but right, it should be TSpirit trying to go for some smoke soon. We'll see when they decide to do so, as they haven't really invaded the TA's jungle, and Rabel is getting a decent amount of farm. The thing is, though, there we go, there's the smoke. With Collapse, with Miposhka, with Toronto Tokyo, the three guys that are trying to gank, but instead they see some creeps, are like, oh, I wonder where that fire just came from. It just must be a DK.
I wonder where that
ray of lightning.
I wonder where that plasma field and the breathe fire came from. Yeah, a little bit of a mistimed smoke. They needed to push one more wave to be able to get clearance. I will say, without having already sieged this Tier 1 tower, it is a bit difficult for Spirit to make these money moves around the map, because the Tier 1, especially for Radiant, but also for Dire, makes looking to like rotate through an enemy map, looking for these kills, even if you know that they will be in the jungle, rather difficult just because of how awkward it is. Here's Collapse, though. He is scouted. Bushwhack, opening up this fight here onto Yamich. Sharpshooter is good damage, but actually not enough. They will be able to leap away the Mirana in time.
All right.
And they're even keeping Toronto Tokyo at bay, as Rabel with the Blink Dagger jumping in on a Collapse, just showing off that brand new Blink of his.
Okay.
Farm that rather quickly.
Yeah, he went for the full Space Creator build. He knows he needs to, right? If he went for Desolator, it's a bit too greedy. You go for the Blink Dagger, now you can somewhat fight. You might even be able to sneak a kill on Collapse here, but Collapse has his own Blink Dagger. He acknowledges the weakness here. The good thing is...
Cheshire Cat, though, down bottom.
Yeah?
He's getting some trouble.
Nice
already.
Supernova.
Supernova, wow, we want him dead. Moonlight Shadow, though, and Cheshire Cat is just too tanky here between the Chip Vest and the Vanguard. He's off and away.
I was assuming that Supernova was to cancel potential, or not cancel, but to get ready for potential TPs, because you stopped that idea, but they didn't have a way to deal with the Moonlight Shadow, which kind of crushed them. Also, the Vanguard really helping out, but I feel like if you put the Supernova ever so slightly further, and then you go and dive with the Razor, there was no way they could TP or come help them, because of course the Supernova would have crushed them. So I think the idea was pretty solid. Maybe the execution was not exactly perfect, which is what I'm seeing from TSpirit for the most part. First game of the day, you know, not a big deal.
Oh, Collapse. He is doing his bear checks here as the smoke gets broken just before Dyrachyo walked into the Roche. But Cheshire Cat is finally going to die down bot lane. They're going to find him eventually here. But we should know now that TSpirit, or that Winstrike rather, are really, really desperate looking for this first Roshan. Let's see here. Perhaps Spirit are thinking there's no way we scout him and then he goes back into Roche, but there is a way. In fact, where there's a way, there's a will, and this is going to be the will of Dyrachyo to finish off Ursa, and in fact, or to finish off Roshan. In fact, he's going to get it done. Looks like TSpirit. Instead, they look for the kill down bottom. His first Roche will drop. Aegis in the inventory of Dyrachyo. Good recovery on the Ursa. He's almost already got Diffusal finished.
Okay. Yeah, not bad. Now you're gonna get online here on the Winstrike heroes, and you yourself are able to put some pressure. I think with the Diffusal Blade, you got pretty heavily counter the DK. Honestly, that mana is a huge requirement for him to be able to get into these fights. The Purge is actually really useful against Hoodwink, because you have to use the Sharpshooter to get away from fights as well. It's honestly quite a nice power spike. You might wait for the Desolator on TA before going for anything, though, because you're seeing TSpirit playing quite slow, so why not? You know, you take that advantage.
Yeah, I would agree. There's Diffusal finish. Plus, having another slow on this team when you have two cores that very heavily rely on their move speed to get them out of fights is very powerful. Not so much just for the inhibit or the Purge, but the Purge. It's the slow. The slow is amazing here against a Luna, against a Razor especially. It's going to be very, very painful for them to deal with. We're going to smoke up now, actually, from Winstrike without this Deso completed. They go to the enemy jungle. Spirit, though, of course, having just lost Roshan, they're going to smoke up themselves. They will meet in the mid lane for a bit of a parlay.
Okay. Collapse. He is going to just jump in. Going for the TA. Spirit Vessel will annoy him a bit. But the TA in trouble. Supernova in the middle. Sharpshooter. And they're going to kill Rabel. Yatoro does die together with Miroslav. They want to kill Cheshire Cat as well. Cheshire Cat safe by the Golden Brace for a couple more seconds. With the Winter's Curse, giving him enough time to retreat. In fact, Dyrachyo wants to go against Toronto Tokyo. Toronto Tokyo too much damage. He is going to be dunked by Cheshire Cat towards the end, but killed off. I mean, Pushka's little acorn shot there, and one simple attack by Collapse. They did lose the Aegis there, but still a win for Winstrike. Winstrike, as they managed to take 3 heroes. Decent use of the Aegis, even if it's quite early, and a little turning point in terms of gold for them, even if they do lose Rabel very early in that team fight.
Oh, it's huge, Avo. It's huge. I feel like we've just hit a major reset button here.
I mean,
that was Luna's first fight she decided to join. She immediately gets 3-man called and just dunked. Very, very great call here for Cheshire Cat. I did feel like this game, not really too slip-in, you know, out of control for Winstrike, but I'd say it was like, you know, it was on like a 2 or 3 degree incline against them, especially with the Razor. The fact that you take care of him and the Luna, and you really only lose your axe out from that, makes it a pretty damn good fight here for Winstrike. They can be happy with this. Great calls, though, out from Cheshire Cats, right there with the Blink Dagger. So they were fighting with the Aegis. That's why they decided to smoke up here. It was going to be off the Blink for Cheshire Cat, as he's going to walk up on the enemy high ground. And they've got plenty of ways of killing him through a cold embrace. We can count them there. Or Cheshire Cat can tell you. Dead for 40 seconds now after walking up to the enemy high ground. Mid lane we go yet again. Fight number 2. Good bushwhack is going to put Duracho out of position, but a winner's curse now. It's going to be on and around of Tokyo. We caught both cores with this. Mira, though, continuing to chase with the Vessel. And now the Sunray, that second charge applied, is not going to quite secure the kill onto the Wider, but with Supernova out, it just might. It's going to be a bait, though. The stun instantly out from Collapse is going to find Ursa. Yule Scepter as well to make sure he cannot destroy the egg in time. When he comes back down, just immediately engulfed here by the flames of Mira, who will dive further now, wanting this kill into Yamich, applying the Vessel, will get Vesseled in response, but first finding the kill, as Mira still kind of playing bait here. Cheshire Cat at least finding the jump onto the DK, holding him down with the call. They nearly picked up the kill onto Mira with the Psyblade spill, but that's 3 down now for Winstrike. Yeah,
like I mentioned, that team fight was just not that huge earlier because of the fact that the TA didn't get any farm out of it. So because she died so early in the team fight, yes, Ursa recovered ever so slightly, not really that much, but the TA still not being able to top the net worth chart means that TSpirit's superior team fight is still gonna beat them in these 5-on-5 engagements. They have superior stuns, which allows for the egg to pop off. They do have a lot of tools against Supernova, but you do have a lot of protection for it too, so it kind of balances out. And the Razor's still hitting his power spike. I mean, Razor's still gonna be one of the strongest heroes in the map for the next 10 minutes or so. And Toronto Tokyo is even using that Eye of the Storm to farm extra creeps and keep himself relevant, going for a half damage, half utility build with his, you know, Heaven's Halberd, Yule Scepter is like a fighting build with a fair amount of utility. A great way to cancel both Ursa and TA, while the Luna is going to be your main source of damage this game on TSpirit.
Collapse is following in his footsteps here, going for that obligatory Sange, as pretty much every single strength hero has to do these days. But building it further into the Halberds. So now we've got 2 disarms, maybe one for the Ursa, one for the Marana even to save these eggs, both lasting 5 seconds each, are going to be very, very powerful. For the likes of TSpirit here, as they're going to smoke up yet again. We don't have Supernova for only 10 more seconds, so they're just going to go for an aggressive movement. Hopefully that lasts a little bit long here so they can get their cooldowns back and look for a major skirmish here. This could be bad for Winstrike, especially for Rebel, who's going to be the first into his own jungle. Oh,
Razor, perhaps? No, not going to be caught out just yet. In fact, Winstrike, not taking over the high ground, want to go for their own smoke. Might be blocked by Miroslav. Mira, okay, keeping his distance. Yamich must know there was something at the high ground. They did catch up to Toronto Tokyo. Toronto Tokyo just got stunned. There's no Yule Scepter usage in time, so he is going to fall. Winter's Curse setting up for this counter kill as well on the Phoenix. In fact, his teammate is killing him. Mira has to get away. Supernova just to save his life. But Yatoro could be in trouble. Lucent Beam is not going to stun long enough. Dragon Tail a bit. Yatoro hit by the Vessel. He's going to die to that. But the Supernova does complete alignment to get counter kills on both Duracho and Yamich. Pantom is the next target, but TSpirit deciding to just bide their time here, thinking about Rabel instead, and realizing maybe they don't have enough resources just yet. Cheshire Cat, considering going back in, they're going.
We don't have damage on Spirit.
They do attack the Squirrel. Nepusha could be in trouble. Acorn Shot plus the pushback though, giving her enough space. Collapse doesn't have enough damage, but he is deterring Cheshire Cat's advance. Winstrike considering punishing Collapse with his play, but he's a bit too tanky for them to go on him.
Yeah, good positioning by the supports of TSpirit. Kind of just showing, you know, hey, you can kill us. We're very easily kills, especially without Supernova. Only for the tanky DK to be standing in the way. very costly. I don't want to call it a dive there, but TSpirit just with great positioning. That curse nearly netting them the kill instantly onto the Phoenix would have been a game changer here for Winstrike, or at the very least a fight changer, as there is a kill attempt now coming the way of Rebel. There is, oh, the blink away in time from Cheshire Cat to make sure he's not caught by that Eye of the Storm, freshly activated from Toronto Tokyo, as they were looking for kills here in the jungle of Winstrike.
Yeah, he's pretty much had that Eye of the Storm on whenever it's off cooldown, right? That's been Toronto Tokyo's plan. I think it's pretty solid. Best usage of that ultimate, farm with it, take objectives, kill heroes, doesn't really matter. It's such a relatively low cooldown. I did hear a Berserker's Call coming by, but I think that's just to farm. Okay. And yeah, but for now, TSpirit taking decent control of the map. We're getting into the point where Winstrike should be able to come online, but it does feel like Duracho and Shirkat have fallen off due to these constant fights. They haven't had time to farm and recover, and it seems like Winstrike is going to base themselves completely on Rabel. Let's see how effective that is. You know, Rabel against a Heaven's Halberd, against a Razor, hell, even against a DK, I'd say, is going to struggle this game overall.
That is true. Pentamum did finish up his Holy Locket here, so I do see a world where we, you know, use a lot of our utility here, a lot of our damage up from TSpirit to make sure they kill Cheshire Cat when after he's jumped in and after he's cold embraced, because that's a ton of healing now, especially for a tanky strength hero like the Axe, who's even going for the casual blade mail now. Not so much casual, I would say. He's disassembled the Vanguard, by the way, to build the hood, and next into the blade mail for him.
Yeah. Pretty decent. You're saying that the magic damage is the most important part, so I can see why the hood is a necessity. And then you use the blade mill to also cancel all this uncontrollable damage by TSpirit, particularly the Lunas. It's the poor man's axe, you know. It's the axe I didn't want to build, but I had to. But it's okay for this game. You have to adapt, and I think Winstrike is doing a decent job of it. TSpirit will now go for the Roshan, though, putting Winstrike even in a more precarious position.
Yeah, Winstrike, they may not be ready for this, especially because the scan of Spirit is going to preempt their rotation.
Yep.
Even without vision, of course, they'll know they're coming. Moonlight Shadow's activated. Roshan left on half HP as Toronto Tokyo being pinged out as the target. Cheshire Cat's going to make the jump onto him. Duracho with the BKB now active, trying to blow through the Razor. There's at least now the Sunray from behind to try and keep him alive, but the dunk will secure the kill.
Nice.
Moonlight Shadow and the Sharpshooter, rather the Eclipse, and the Sharpshooter is too much damage for Cheshire Cat. He's unable to make it out alive, as we have bought back on Toronto Tokyo. This Roche too important to let go.
Alright, but Winstrike, as you say, they at least have the high ground they could. They might be able to initiate. They lost a lot of Razor. In fact, it's Collapse who's initiating onto them. He's not going to die. This is the Bushwhack. Catches the poor Ursa. Cold Embrace, not going to save him. So much magical damage from that Sunray alone. And Mirosol will end up getting that kill. Cheshire Cat, he's been sent up to the air. Now with a static link, he's going to go down underground as Winstrike lose two other heroes, one of which was a dive back there. TSpirit will secure the Roshan plus extras here. And if Rabel gets seen, they have no sentries. The trap gets popped. Winstrike will have to retreat and let the Roshan go for TSpirit.
Yep, that's going to be second Roche as well. Probably going to have Ags, Ag Shard here for the Luna and the Cheese. Aegis actually onto Toronto Tokyo is really, he's been the only one kind of getting jumped consistently. So long as Yatoro and Toronto Tokyo aren't right next to each other, you know, they've seemed to prioritize the Razor in these fights to make sure the TA and Ursa can continue fighting after that. Plus, he just bought back, of course. Great fight from TSpirit, and now, you know, in case you didn't know why Phoenix was such a great pick into the Winter Wyvern, well, there it is for you. Sunray is just or rather, Cold Embrace is just directly hard countered by the Sunray with not a whole lot you could really do about that.
Yeah, even with the Holy Locket, you just deal too much damage to the Sunray. And that's not even considering the Supernova counter in the Winter's Curse, right? Like that. It's just, Phoenix is just completely demolishes the poor Winter Wyvern. That's why picking Winter Wyvern so early, because the hero's so valuable, means you either ban Phoenix in the first two picks, or you're probably going to get countered for it. Talk about this, by the way, the TA. She is not in a good position, is forced back to the BKB. Sharpshooter won't hurt her, but the Luna might. Luna might just kill her. They need some vision. Sharpshooter misses. Not that it mattered. Again, she's magic immune. And TSpirit will have to let that kill go. But did force a valuable resource in the BKB.
Yep. And just one quick note, just to cap off our Phoenix conversation. I really like how Mira's actually itemized here on the Phoenix, going directly into the Spirit Vessel. Not the craziest item to see for sure on a Phoenix, especially in previous patches. In this patch, it's a little bit rare. Mostly, he's just directly countering this Winter Wyvern with the healing, as well as tons of damage to the axe. And it helps at getting through the refractions a little bit. I think it goes through 2 refraction charges every second on the Urn and Vessel, so hey, that's helpful when you're trying to blow through with TA.
Yeah, it's odd to see the Spirit Vessel being so not picked up, right? Oh, actually, as they catch the squirrel. I think they might be able to get this kill. Boschka, no, with the bushwhack, they turn this around. Duracho could be in trouble. Yule Scepter, the Enrage is going to fall off. The Sharpshooter's ready, only to get Boschka into space as Duracho takes the BKB in time, which allows him to TP back home. So what I was mentioning is that I think it's surprising to me that in the meta with so much healing, Spirit Vessel's still been pretty much unpicked or has decreased its usage, but it's still a very valuable item to counter these heroes whenever available.
He might not make it out.
I think he might just die here for free. Yeah, bye, goodbye.
This is that's not the dieback on him, is it? Right? No.
No, that was earlier. That was earlier.
Immediately. Yeah. Thank you.
So that's good. You know, on one hand,
for 50.
That's not a dieback because of it. So you know, there's that, I guess.
Yeah.
You die so often, you prevent it.
2 tower lost. Exactly. No, guys. I'm not feeding. I'm just, I'm just making the enemy carry nice and fat. So when we kill them, we get all that comeback gold. I'm not feeding.
It's like when you're a supporter, you die purposefully to keep yourself low level, right? So that way you can respawn faster.
He's got Hags already.
Yeah.
And with level 3 Elder Dragon form, so he's already basically +1 core. I don't know how Winstrike can push him off the high ground, especially with this positioning that TeamSpirit are rocking, being very aware of the threat of the Winter's Curse.
Duracho, the target now. Can he get away? He still has the Enrage though, so it should be fine. Even have a 4-staff, okay. Yeah, they don't want to go too far. Collapse is considering it because, I mean, he's flying. He's happy. He has 7 Halberd still. Berserker Skull catching him. Duracho wanted to murder him. Eclipse has been committed, though. Winter's Curse on top of that, stopping the power of the Eclipse. But Collapse is too tanky. This Dragon Knight is unkillable. They just cannot do anything to him. Duracho wasting all of his efforts. Now, the Cold Embrace trying to save his life, but Supernova is just going to explode. There's the shard saving him for multiple seconds. With the help of Shishikat, Berserker's Call, they'll be able to dunk down the Razor. But 4 seconds, he's going to come back anyway. Duracho ends up dying regardless. Now down goes Cheshirecat as they try to finish off Rabel. Rabel sent flying. They want to finish him off. Collapse just waiting for that potential Dragon Tail, but Rabel's a bit too quick on the draw with a Blink Dagger, and that's going to send Collapse down to the grave. As Winstrike trying to recover this ever so slightly by killing whatever stragglers they can find, but Miposhka a bit too fast. Even as a bushwhack, they'll be able to retreat successfully.
Yamich, he was looking to chase. Nice arrows on the fight out from Yamich. Yeah, I mean, to go right back to what we were talking about yet again, it's this Phoenix Vessel that's really actually getting them these kills. No, Rebel, he's in trouble, and they don't actually have anything to counter-initiate. He just walks into the mid lane and dies. TeamSpirit setting the trap, and Rebel just walking right into it.
Yeah.
That is not the death that they were looking for here on Winstrike. He was just looking to farm at least one more wave. Looks like he's trying to get this MKB online just to increase his damage. So he's really eager to get as much farm as he can. His top lane, Yamich, is likely to be scouted and killed here by Yotaro. He's got a Lucent Beam in a second, but he's not going to try for it in time. Instead, just hitting creep for the cooldown a little bit too long for him. Oh, goodness. It's already the Eye of Scotty finish for Yotaro now, though. Yep,
that plus Spirit Vessel. Good luck to trying to heal anything in this game. And Bushka has the Bushwhack. There's the Solar Crest, adding a bit of damage. They even have the Sharpshooter. Shukat tries to get the armor back with Berserker's Call, but what he needs is not armor, but HP.
He's not going to have much of that left behind. Once again, 3 heroes dying. Or 2 heroes dying right in the same spot here for Winstrike, as Yotaro straight onto the high ground, just sidestepping that arrow. Don't mind me as I take your entire base with my Moonglaves. That'll be the top lane of Barracks, pretty much deleted. Looking to head back towards mid. Cheshire got dead for 30 seconds. They know he doesn't have buyback here, at least for another minute. Yotaro is just still too strong on the high ground. Aegis at least reclaims. Duracho having to buy his Aghanim Scepter or Shock, of course, much preferring to just get it from Roche, he might have to use it, the Enrage now, just to make sure he can walk away. So holding on to the BKB, though, means they can look to take a fight as soon as Cheshire Cat respawns. But it'll be without a top and mid lane of barracks.
That is quite the rough sentence to say while you're dominating this far. What can Winstrike do now to come back into this game? I mean, they have some decent team fight if you get a really, really awesome Winter's Curse. Maybe if you can kill like the Razor with the Winter's Curse and then you just like flank them with the rest of the team, killing off the supports, you might still be able to do this. You just need to get... Honestly, it has to be a Winter's Curse on Razor that catches Luna, so you can set up with the arrow as well on Luna afterwards, and pray that she has enough damage. I think she does, honestly, to kill Razor. I can't really see many other options for Winstrike to take these team fights. They have a 5-on-5 lineup anyway. Even Berserker's Call, he just dies too soon, and Yolcipter cancels him, so... I think this smoke is a good idea to try to set the fight on your own terms, but TSpirit's a bit too smart. Don't go on Collapse, though.
We have to kill Mira. He's got a refresher now, and if he was a pain in the butt before, ooh boy, just do wait and see what Refresher Phoenix has.
It has to be the axe.
This is something... Yeah. You think?
It has to be the axe.
It has to be the axe to jump Phoenix?
Yeah, you jump the Phoenix.
Is what you're saying?
Because you need to kill the Razor as well, otherwise you won't kill Phoenix. So you have to do both, and maybe TA go for the Phoenix with the Berserker's Call, and then the Winter's Curse sitting up on Razor with the arrow. So you can reset the team fight as well.
Okay.
I think that's the only option I'm seeing.
It's hard, but it's doable. That is a plausible scenario here for Winstrike. And in fact, if they want something to fight around to group up these enemies to make the calls on the curses a bit easier, Roshan is going to be respawning shortly, so we can look to fight around that. But Spirit, they know they're in the driver's seat in this game. They know there's no reason to wait for Roche, so they're going to be looking for kills just to give themselves a bit of an advantage. Cheshire Cat with a nice blink away as the Black Dragon was running right towards him through the creep wave. He says, how about no thank you? And it just blinks right away. Yamich cutting waves in the mid lane. Oh, actually, just walking through the mid lane part of me, not looking to cut any waves. Not that it would do much, because mid's already gone, and it's only bottom that you're scared of for now.
Yeah, so the concern for these team fights is that you have like the two Heaven's Halberd plus the Yolcipter on Razor, which makes it so difficult for you to catch anyone out. In fact, who gets caught out is actually Cheshire Cat. Bushwhack, and that's a dead Cheshire Cat.
He's got buyback.
Alice will not find her way anymore. I'm gonna go instead for the tier 4s because why not? You have a Luna after all. Like they just melt. Luna plus DK.
No, and now we just go back and wait for Roche for TSpirit after triggering the buyback.
And the glyph.
Really good play out from Spirit. Yes, and the glyph. Yeah, both were used here. And really not much out from TSpirit for that pick off onto the axe. Just a couple of blink daggers, a loosened beam here and there, and everything else is still ready to go. And if they thought that starting these fights off by looking to lock down Phoenix and cursing the Razor was the way to go, they're going to find that more difficult to do shortly as Mira is quickly making way towards this Aeon disc. I don't even know if he'll, need to complete it this game at the rate this one's going, but, just itemizing, definitely recognizing what Winstrike's methods of getting back into this game are and looking to immediately cancel them is just some really, really smart Dota out from TSpirit.
I agree. I think they played really solid game. I'm glad they didn't rush in the early game. We're recommending them to. They just took their patience. They knew they could win this game even like 20-25 minutes in. That's what they're doing now as they catch a Mirana, but they don't want to go for it because that looks like bait if I've ever seen it. Winstrike,
yeah.
I think these are the right moves, though. You bait out the Mirana, you surprise him with these flanks, try to go for the supports before the Aeon disc get completed. I don't think they're playing a bad game of recovery. It's just that it is quite late at this point to recover.
Yeah, you're just playing against TSpirit. They're the #1 seed in these qualifiers, and for good reason. I think they're showing us why.
Yep. I don't know. I feel like Winstrike should also be considering just for the next draft, pick up stuns, I think, would be my only recommendation. Because I'm looking at these team fights, I'm also thinking, if you had just even a single easy stun like Dragon Tail or even Bushwhack, you would be able to actually go and get pickoffs alone. But with Winter's Curse, Berserker's Call, your pickoffs are always like a question mark of can it work? Or the arrow, right?
Yeah.
It makes it so much more difficult for you to come back, even if it's not impossible.
And speaking of impossible, contesting this Roshan just might be that for Winstrike, because we already have 2 heroes into the pit. Toronto Tokyo might decide to join them, but he's going to be playing smoke breaking duty along with Miposhka here. just to make sure. I mean, really, Yataro's got enough damage right now with the butterfly, this Eye of Scotty, to do Roche alone. And everyone else just ready to counter-initiate here. Wards as well, providing vision. Winstrike, they might be a bit late now. The scan is going to let them know indeed they are doing Roshan. Can they make it over in time? It would seem not. There's going to be that all-too-familiar jingle. Oh, Duracho, though, he's into the pit, trying to get through the Luna, trying to get anything he can. He actually does manage to get the Refresher Shard. He's going to consume it already for a second in Rage as Toronto Tokyo onto Cheshire Cat, forcing him away. First Supernova of 2 here as Mira still has that Refresher, just looking to get the Sunray onto Yamich as we've lost Cheshire Cat. There's Rabel now, casually stunned by the Lucent Beam, BKBing and just TPing away. He's going to be allowed to live, but the rest of his team will not be as lucky as GG well played is called. TSpirit take the 1-0 lead in the series.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where you go, yes, we can totally come